Hey guys, it's Terragaze here. I just want to bring a video with you guys talking about. I kind of did one with the killers earlier. Basically, I was going through and changing one thing about every killer. It was kind of an early video I did, but we're gonna go ahead and do it now with all the survivors. And I'll be honest, some of the survivors are a lot of them are in a good place, so some of them aren't gonna be as diverse as others, but a lot of them will have a bunch of radical changes. But I'll go through them, as we go through this video, and let you know how I feel about them. But other than that, let's go ahead and get in this video, okay? Also, I'm tired of getting persona photos. Just no more posters, please. Alright, welcome back. So basically we have the doctor first. So how I would change a doctor, she's kind of in a good place right now to be honest, and I can't really think of any other starting character that's really better than her. And I honestly, the only thing I really want to change her, I'd probably give her a little bit more risk to her reward. So basically I want to make it where she has the option to expend her syringe, and if she does, she can instantly heal one state of damage, i.e. instantly pick someone off the ground or heal somebody instantly. However, if she does use this ability, it removes the syringe, and it also takes away her 60% increased bonus speed for the rest of the match. To healing. I think this would kind of raise her skill cap and honestly make her a little bit more competitive. I think that's kind of be pretty good for her for the most part. But other than that, that's probably where I'd keep it at with her. She's kind of in a good spot though, like overall. So next we have the lawyer. So let's be honest, the lawyer's incredibly boring. I really think he needs something a little bit more interactive to make his map a little bit worthwhile. Yes, a map is great for someone who's a beginner and really needs to learn the map. So once you're kind of an experienced player, it becomes increasingly less useful because you know where everything's at. You know where all the generators normally spawn at. You're not really going to need it. I guess it would help to locate allies, but other than that, it's not as crazy. And most of the time you're probably talking to people. Maybe if you're playing with random people, that could be useful. I propose that maybe on his map, one cipher should be highlighted, and when decoding on that particular cipher, he should gain a large increase on decoding speed. When the cipher is completed, a new generator will be marked on the map. He can also interact with the cipher and mark it on the mini-map for all allies to kind of push for that co-op play. I think that would kind of make it kind of fun. The killer could play around it as well, knowing what obviously if they're all huddled around a particular cipher, then obviously you can play against that and defend it a little bit more. That'd be kind of cool and make lawyer a little bit more worthwhile. Other than that, his other abilities are just fine. I think that's a good place to put him. I said give him a little bit more interactive play, I suppose, instead of just being like a cipher simulator. So next we have the thief, and the thief is definitely a little bit lackluster as well, and I kind of want to give him actually kind of a good look on his kit, right? I think we should focus on his ability to be stealthy. That is kind of a requirement to be a thief, so I feel like it would be really cool. So we're actually going to give him a whole nother ability. So we're gonna make it where this ability, whatever it'd be called, I don't know, we'll call it thievery. That sounds super boring, and I don't know. I didn't think of anything to name it, but basically we're gonna make it where he can reveal nearby lockers, similar to the gardener whenever she can see chairs, and he can enter and exit lockers at an increased rate of speed. When he enters the lockers, it removes his current trail, which is that when you're running, you leave that trail of your killer, you can kind of chase it. It removes it down by 4 seconds, therefore pretty much kind of deleting his trail. And finally, when he exits the locker, he gains a boost of movement speed, and his flashlight stun bar generates 2 times at the normal speed for a short duration after. I think that would be really, really cool. I know it's a lot to digest, but basically I kind of want to put lockers in a little bit more, give some more play to lockers, because outside of the one-ofs, lockers just don't really get used that much, and I feel like this would give him a good reason to use lockers and kind of bring in a little bit of meta to him and make him a little bit more fun of a pick, because the flashlight, you're not going to stun a good killer with a flashlight. You just simply aren't. So it'd be kind of nice to give him some play to do there. And also he runs the risk of getting pulled out of lockers if he tries to use it to escape and whatnot. Also, him getting in and out of lockers shouldn't alert the killer, of course, so they don't know that he actually got in the locker, potentially. So next we have the gardener. So Emma here has a lot of things wrong with her. Mainly for her, I think it's basically the thing that her kit revolves around. Basically, the toolbox she has. First off, if I were to give her an ability, first off, I'm gonna say chairs cannot be repaired, and I will elaborate on this. So don't worry, just give me a moment here. But I think we should greatly increase the cooldown to her toolbox. I'm talking like long portal times, like. Well, I'm just going to pull this off the top of my head. Let's say 100 seconds is what her toolbox now is, the cooldown. Disabled chairs will repair themselves after a particular duration. So if she disables a chair, which will be less than hers, we'll say 50 seconds. So she can disable a chair every 100 seconds, and that chair stays dismantled for 50 seconds, and it'll repair itself. I think this would give her kind of a higher skill cap, and on top of that, it might set up some more power plays she can use, and not to mention the higher cooldowns will allow players to use, their cerebellum a little bit more. So I think that's kind of the move there. So next off, we have the Magician. Okay, so this dude makes me so mad. His kit actually makes 0 sense. So first off, all of his moves, everything you see right here on the screen, Alt F4, it's gone. We're going top to bottom with this guy. So we're going to start off with his trait 1. He's still going to get the wand, right? We're going to let him have the wand, but instead of 2 charges, he's going to get 3. And whenever he's hit inside of it, specifically to the Magician, he's not going to go into Terror Shock. He's actually going to go into Last Effort instead. I feel like it's a lot better because it's honestly super frustrating whenever you're trying to make a play and you get hit. Like the hitboxes in this game, you can get hit on some shenanigan stuff. So we're going to make him go into Last Effort instead. In case he gets hit, he has time to try and make something with what happened to him. His trait 2, Dexterous. His triggers, he's going to trigger the skills like checks less, which I'm okay with that. Since he's skilled at sleight of hand, most magicians are. That's kind of how they do a lot of their tricks, and the skill checks are bigger, just like kind of similar to the ones that he has now. However, he gets excited when pulling off his trick perfectly, and when he lands a perfect skill check, he gets double the calibration progress. I think this would be kind of cool to kind of go into magician. They're super excited when they finish off. They pull off a skill without a hitch. That gets them super excited. Trait 3, this is kind of the one that I run into the most, is I absolutely hate, is Real or Fake. I think that this just doesn't make sense. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And we're going to give him the same name, Real or Fake. That's fine. While he's in the chair, his pure skill as an escape artist actually assists him. Using 2 charges of his wand, he can actually escape the bondage, leaving the clone in his chair while he escapes for the same duration as normally using it. I think that would be an awesome thing to add. That's kind of why I gave him 3 charges instead of 2, to kind of give him some play. And then we're going to give him a 4th trait to offset this. We're going to call it Time is Up, I suppose. And basically, while he's in the chair, his timer is accelerated. Basically, increasing the speed of launch chairs, or increasing the time it takes for him, reducing the time it takes for him to go into full launch. So basically, if he's in a chair, he's in there, like he needs to get rescued if he doesn't have his ability to get out of it because the timer goes faster. That's kind of the offset with him being able to escape himself. Be it 10, 20%. I don't know what the actual, I'm not going to give actual number to try. It's refrain from giving actual numbers because like if I do that, then things get busted really fast because I'm not like taking everything into account. I'm just going on one at a time. So next we have the Explorer. He's perfect. Fight me. I think he should make all ciphers and all doors open after 5 seconds of being in the game, and also negates the tension when activated. That sounds pretty good to me. Yep, we're going to go with that. We have the Priestess next. I was actually playing her all day today, and she's really nice where she's at. She actually has some crazy plays you can make. If I had to change something, it would be to make her large portal be placed on the surface of anything that's outside of the exit gate, because it's super, super frustrating when you're trying to play her, and there's perfectly symmetrically crafted walls in front of you, and you can't place the portal there, but you look at this tree that's not even clipped in the map, and it's stellar placement for it. I don't really get that. So just kind of fix that up a little bit and make it a little bit more clean, I suppose. Next, we have Forward. So Forward is also in a pretty good place. Like honestly, he's probably an S tier, and I think S tiers are where they're at for a reason. So it's kind of really hard to add things to S tiers or take things away. However, I would make it harder to carry him. So he has Struggle up here, and you can keep the 10%, that's absolutely fine, but like maybe make him buck a little bit more. So like the killer has harder controls while holding him. Since he is the most physically athletic of the survivors, or at least they portray it that way, I think that's how they can kind of make that a little better. Also, his difficulty doesn't make sense because this guy is easy to play. I don't know why his difficulty is higher than some other people on here, but just make it where you can wiggle a little bit. Maybe like, you know, move the killer a little bit, or sorry, hunter around a little bit. That's probably what I would do. Next, we have the first offer. He's also kind of fine where he's at. Where he is at. I think simply a quality of life change would be in due. Basically, a lot of people read this ability, they're going to look at it, and they're not going to understand anything at all. They're like, what am I looking at? And even when you see it in the game, you still don't really know what you're doing. Your character turns white, and you're like, okay, am I invisible? Am I a ghost? Am I faster? What's going on? You're all of those things. No, no, but basically, I think there should be a visual representation of his ability. Maybe put like a clone behind him that like maybe reverse it like where you're normal color and the clone behind you's white, so you kind of understand that that's where you're being seen at, and that would, you know, help, you know, give him so people know what's going on, because a lot of people I see who play this guy, they'll tell me like, oh, I just played this guy, I don't really even know what he does. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. But other than that, I mean, like, he's a really good character if you know what you're doing with him. That's the only thing I would change with him. Next, we have Lucky Guy. Yeah. Then we have Mercenary. So Mercenary is really good. He's simply where he's at. His sponging damage is always going to be incredibly strong. Mostly just quality of life changes. We're going to go ahead and make his dash better to read, I feel like. Kind of like, I would say probably after contacting with the wall, you should have to put in a directional input, and then that's where it goes, instead of going to where your camera focus is, because that's super annoying whenever you bounce off things. And just make it cleaner to disable. Like, you should be able to disable his gauntlets even if it's off cooldown. I think that would be nice, because sometimes I hate whenever you think you turn it off, and then like you go to like, you know, heal somebody or something, and you just like bounce off the wall and like fly across the map, and you're like, ah. So I think that would be a good way to handle that. Next off, we have the Coordinator. So she's kind of in a weird spot. I truthfully do not know how to improve her perfectly, but I'm going to do my best here. And I've obviously been playing around with this for a little bit. How I would kind of improve her or change her, I would add crates on the minimap. Making it to where, I mean, specifically ammo crates, making it to where she can reload her gun. Make this resource that's now available to her, say only 3 caches on the map, and she can only use the caches 1 time per game, so she gets basically 3 more shots in her guns, I suppose, and make it take like 15 seconds to reload her gun, you know, like, you know, just have her dig up the ammo or whatever she has to do, and then if she's digging, you know, just kind of similar to a chest, she can be terror shocked, all that stuff and whatnot. But finally, I think the killers should be able to kill these, or, you know, destroy these ammo crates as long as they have abnormal. I think that would give a little bit more play into abnormal, you know, make it a little bit more of a pick. And totally off topic, but can we reduce the cooldown on abnormal? Because, like, 80 seconds is kind of bonkers and makes it kind of silly. So I think they should reduce that down a bit, but that's not even another video or something, I don't know. Next, we have the Mechanic. So nothing really I want to change about her, to be honest. Her skill cap is absolutely bonkers, but if I had to change something, of course, I would remove Fragile, because, like, honestly, find me one mechanic that's fragile IRL, and I will change my opinion. Give her a reduction to healing instead, maybe, or something, because that would just make more sense, because being a fragile mechanic just doesn't make sense at all, because mechanics it's a really tough job to do. I know people who are mechanics, and fragile is the most least thing they are. That's what I would do. Next, we have Mind's Eye. She's also pretty good where she's at, much like a lot of these characters are. She's a very strong decoder. However, I think if I had to change her, I'd definitely go with, I would make her able to hear the killer's detection radius, or, the heartbeat. I feel like she could hear that further, considering she has, she has increased audio ability if she's blind. She's like, her abilities reflect that she can do echolocation, so that would be important. And then furthermore, when she throws down a pallet, I think it should do the same effect as, like revealing her area around her, except only for her. Just because that kind of makes sense. If she's chucking a pallet on the ground, it's still making the same like reversions of sound, so she should be able to use that sound to, like, be aware of her surroundings. So I think that would be really cool. Just a small stuff, but only to her, of course. Obviously doesn't do the whole team effect, but just to her. That would be pretty cool. Next, we have the Perfumers. So I actually played her a bit, and she's a lot stronger than I gave her credit for. And honestly, she probably would be in S tier or maybe high A tier for my last video. Now that I've really got to play her a few times, but if I had to change something about her, and like, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one too. I think she should be able to use her ability on the ground. I know. That sounds absolutely stupid, but just hear me out. Hear me out. I think if she does do this on the ground, however, the cooldown on her next spray or the cooldown on her perfume bottle should be doubled for that duration. And then whenever she does do the teleportation, or goes back to her smell even after being knocked down, she should be slowed for 1 second. Only reason why, she's got to shake off what she just went through. She just got thrown down to the ground. She's like, oh, wow, that was weird. So make her teleport back, giving her a little bit more high skill cap and, more incentive to not get knocked down. And also, I guess, like, kind of help out when those one-of moments whenever you meant to click it or you did click it and it just wasn't quite fast enough. You still have an option if you're willing to do that trade-off or risk yourself wasting that perfume spray potentially. The cowboy. So this guy's pretty simple. I'm fine with the fact that he wants to save the damsel in distress. That's a cool, I guess it's an interesting mechanic. And however, when it comes to decoding, that absolutely does not make any sense because, you guys are trying to, I don't know, not die. So I think that can be removed. I feel like basically just remove the debuff when decoding with males because that just doesn't make any sense because you guys are all trying to get out and survive. So why would you not work together on a thing that helps you get out alive? I guess maybe that's just too much logic, but that's how I would change him, to be honest. Next, we have the female dancer. Yeah, so she's basically a meme. I would actually nerf her, to be honest. And I know, calm down, Survivor mains. Just sit down for one moment. She's just really strong. She has so many free options. I would just actually remove her acrobatics trait and replace it with the same name, I suppose, and instead just have her increase all movement altering effects by 15%. So this could be strong. It sounds strong on paper, but it also increases slows on her. So if any type of effect affects her, it could either, be good for her or bad for her. And when she's affected, we'll put it on maybe a short cooldown so it can't be spammed like 10 seconds or something, after she either slowed or sped up. I think that would be okay because that would give her, both sides of the coin. She could be really, really good if she gets sped up, or she could get really, really slowed. And make it something small, like 10% or 15%. It doesn't have to be some crazy large number, but just enough to give that little oomph. And I think that's kind of the way to go with her. Next, we have Seer. So the Seer is freaking awesome. I don't let sweaty players scare you away from playing him. I see people get bullied all the time for playing Seer, and like, if you want to play Seer, dude. Like, he's a cool guy. You don't really need validations from other people, other than me. But jokes aside, I'd probably make it where he simply gets his owl shorter. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, takes a long time for him to get his owl back. And then to further this, I think that if he's spectating somebody, whenever he's hovering behind somebody with the owl, I think if they're in a chase, it should also regenerate your like pretty much like you were standing there, like obtaining the aggro. I think that would be cool because then you could spectate somebody in a chase, and maybe you just got that little tick bit, you can hover over them, spectate them for a second, get it, and then actually protect that person. That would be pretty cool. That's probably how I'd change him. Maybe make him a little bit more, a little bit more skill there, or maybe break the entire game. I don't know, but that sounds pretty cool to me, and it kind of makes sense. I don't really know how to offset that. Maybe make it a little more taxing on him somehow. Say it if he gets the skill in that particular mode, like using it while hovering, it maybe goes on a longer cooldown or something, or maybe takes it longer next time to charge, or makes it progressively longer to charge. That would be pretty cool. Basically make it charge really fast early on the game, slowly get more and more. That would be just like, his ability taxing. That would kind of go into that. But that was off the top of my head. That actually wasn't in my notes. That just sounded a lot better when I was moving through it. Anyways, so the Embalmer. Everything. Absolutely everything I would change about this guy. Well, apart from his revive thing. Basically, we're going to go ahead and make it make it so he can revive regardless of any stipulation. I think that's important because there's just so many stipulations against him reviving. I think the killers should not be able to see who's mummified. I think that's so stupid because obviously if someone has someone mummified, the killer's just going to let that person bleed out. They're not going to put them in a chair. It's a waste of time. It's just going to revive them. Or if they know where the coffin is, they're just going to put them in the chair and then walk immediately over to the coffin and just smack them down again anyways. So I just think they just should not know who's, like, they don't need a little icon to know who's, because why would they know that information anyways, right? Maybe if they discover it, then they can know who's embalmed, because they should know anyways at that point, but other than that, I just don't think it should be just freely given to them. Like, I think it's silly. Unless the killer is like an absolute kneecap, they don't need that extra stuff. Anxiety can stay, but I think it needs a tweak. So I think, sure, if he has anxiety, he doesn't want to work, he doesn't work well with others, it makes him kind of nervous, etc. I think that's fine. He can have a reduction there. However, if he's working alone, I think he should actually have a buff as a decoder. Give him like a 10% increase and then 10% deduction when others. That would make more sense because, you know, he's comfortable when he's by himself. He's where he wants to be. I think that would make a lot more sense. And then I think Unconcerned can stay as well. Maybe a slight tweaks, though. I think it should just add on to the ability that he can also move his casket. I think that would be kind of cool. Maybe, like, let's say the killer finds out where that casket's at. He can actually put the casket back into a suitcase or whatever he does and then move it somewhere else. He can't change who's in it, but he can at least move it. I guess that could get pretty wonky if someone goes down who's been mummified, but I'm sure there's a way you can clean that up. I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but that's pretty much how I'd probably change him. So next we have the Prospector, and I'm going to be real with you guys here. I do not even know how to play this guy, so we're just going to, don't hate me, but the Enchantress. So much like the others, she's in an awesome place. She's absolutely great at kiting. I would say maybe make her stuns a little bit more responsive for quality of life, because sometimes they can seem a bit janky. So I'd say just make it more responsive. Simple as that. Maybe it could be like a little micro fix. Next we have the Wildling. He's a little bean, and I think he's great where he's at. Another one that I could not really appreciate until I had closer inspection, until I played him a few times. I don't really have much to say on him. I hate not changing things, that's kind of the point of this video, but like, I really don't have anything I want to add to him. He's fine where he's at, I suppose. I don't really have any true issues with him. He does his job. He blocks like he's supposed to. He's supposed to interrupt the killer, you know, maybe go for saves and stuff, and he's not very good at decoding. That's his offset. It just makes sense. So I don't really have any issues with that. Next we have the Acrobat. Honestly, pretty simple with the Acrobat. I just think you should make his bombs a little more accurate, and that little jump thing he does before he throws them, I don't think that really should be in there. I think that's kind of just silly. It's kind of unnecessary because that can kind of get you into more issues when you're trying to line up your shot, because I feel like, I mean, I don't play on mobile, but I feel like this guy using his abilities on mobile would be an absolute nightmare, just because it's super weird looking, and it's even on a computer it's a little janky. So I'd say just make it a little bit more responsive with him using it, and maybe get rid of the little jump he does. He's got a great smile though. And then last but not least, we have Barmaid. Get me drunk, dad. No, honestly, I think she should be able to serve anybody. Like, it's a game. I know they want to avoid things with like coming to age and you know, trying to avoid that whole alcoholism thing, or not alcoholism, but like giving alcohol to a minor. But like, it's a game. It's not that serious, and like, it's quirky until it actually matters. You know. Then you get in a game where you're trying to do a play or a save, and then that one time the mind's eye's there, and you're like, I can't do anything about this. Like, that just kind of sucks. So that's pretty much how I would change it. But there you have it, guys. I appreciate you sticking to this video. I know this is going to be a long one, because they always are when it comes to me going through all the characters of any one side. I appreciate you being here. If you like the content you've seen, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button, do whatever you want. Sound off in the comments. Let me know if you agree, disagree, how you would change. I'd love to hear ideas. I love creative influences and stuff like that. I just love hearing everyone's thoughts. It makes me so happy. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair. I'm actually going to go play a few games with a bunch of people in my Discord. They've been wanting me to play for a while, and I kind of have been working on this video all day. So you guys have a wonderful evening, and as always, take it easy. Bye. Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.